Hi guys, it's Shamsa and welcome back to my little kitchen. Today's recipe is a classic one straight out of my daddy, which is my grandma's kitchen. This recipe has been handed down to me by her and honestly I can't wait to share this with you. This is a classic Pakistani dish called Dal Gosht. Now dal is basically any kind of lentils, and in today's video I'm using Chana Dal, which is split grams, and Gosht is basically meat. So it is lamb and Chana Dal curry. Now you've got tender pieces of lamb with the Chana Dal in there in a spicy masala, and this served up with roti is perfect. I'm going to try this and tell you guys exactly how it is. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Wow. Brings back so many memories of my daddy making this for us when we were younger. And the lamb is so tender, just melts in your mouth. The Chana Dal still has that little bit of a bite. It's not sort of like fully cooked and dissolved into the curry, and that's how it should be. It should be slightly al dente, holding its shape but still soft enough to eat. Perfectly spiced. It is slightly on the spicier side, so if you want you can reduce the amount of chilies, but honestly please try the recipe out. This is a classic Pakistani combination of cooking here using lentils and meat. Now before I run through the ingredients with you quickly, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy content like this, and also turn your bell notifications on for all things cooking. So let's start. So the ingredients you're going to need is 750 grams of lamb. I'm using leg of lamb today, which is on the bone. You can use whichever cut of meat you wish, that's entirely up to you. I've just had my butcher cut it into medium pieces. I've got here 200 grams of Chana Dal, which is also known as split yellow gram, and all I did was soak it in lots of water the night before, and I added half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda into that, and it's had 16 hours of soaking. And what the bicarbonate of soda does is that it actually helps the dal cook faster whilst retaining its shape and not completely dissolving. So, and I've now washed it out completely with lots of cold water, and I've just put fresh water in there and let it sit. I've got here 2 medium onions which are finely sliced. These weigh 250 grams. I've got here 2 large tomatoes. This weighs 300 grams in weight, and I've just quartered them. I've got here half a cup of oil, and I've got the following spices. I've got 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of coriander powder, and deghi mirch, which is the Kashmiri chili powder, which adds a really nice flavour and colour, but not the heat. I've got 1 teaspoon of regular chili powder and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. I've got some whole spices here. I've got 2 bay leaves, a cinnamon stick roughly the size of my thumb, and 2 black cardamom pods. I've got here half a tablespoon of homemade garam masala and 1 frozen piece of ginger and garlic here. Now if you don't have these cubes, then you can substitute each cube by using 1 tablespoon of the paste. I've got here 3 bullet chilies. Again, these are optional, but they do add a nice colour and flavour to the dish. I've just sliced them halfway up. I've got fresh coriander to garnish right at the end, and we also have water to use as and when we need to. So let's start cooking. Right, okay, so I'm using my pressure cooker to cook this today. If you don't have one, you can use a normal pot on top of your hob, but just remember that cooking times will vary and the amount of water needs to be doubled, and so does the cooking time if you're using a normal pot. With a pressure cooker, obviously it's going to be a lot quicker. So I've got my pressure cooker on the hob. My heat setting is on a 7 and it's on a medium high heat setting, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my oil in and just give that a couple of minutes to heat up. Okay, so now that the oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add my whole spices in and then my onions, and we're going to fry them for about 5 to 6 minutes until they're nicely golden brown in colour. Right, okay, so 6 minutes later, the onions are nice and golden brown in colour. And into this now, I'm going to add my meat and also my ginger and garlic. And I'm going to just fry that for about 3 to 4 minutes, just so the ginger and garlic sort of like cooks with the meat, and we brown the meat. And we just get rid of the rawness from the ginger and garlic as well. So I'll see you guys back in around 4 minutes time. Right, okay, so I've been browning the lamb with the ginger and garlic for 4 minutes. Now into this, I'm going to add my tomatoes, just like that. And using the same half a cup measurement, I'm going to add in half a cup of water. And I'm just going to turn my hob up because I had to reduce it down. I'm going to put it to full power, allow this to come up to temperature. And then we're going to put the lid on and we're going to pressure cook this until the lamb is around 80% done. So just wait for it to come up to temperature. Right, okay, so now that that has come up to temperature, the water that we've added, all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my hob down to a 7, which is a medium heat setting for my hob. Pop the lid on, secure it, lock it, and turn the pressure cook dial to number 2. And we're going to allow this now to cook away now until the pressure develops in there and builds up, and you'll hear the pressure start to sort of like release through this dial here, and you'll hear it and you'll physically see a little bit of steam coming, but you'll definitely hear it. Even though that's come on, we're going to wait for this to come sort of like out, the steam, and then we're going to set our timers now, and we're going to do it to 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes of cooking, the meat should be approximately 70 to 80% done, and I'll show you how it looks once it's done. But in the meantime, if you're using a pressure cooker, just watch out for this area here. You'll soon hear it, and from that point onwards, set your timers to 10 minutes, and I'll show you what you need to do next. Guys, I just wanted to quickly show you that this is what you need to be looking out for. So when I mentioned that this button flicks up and then the steam starts to release from here, which lets you know that the pressure inside has built up, this is what you need to look out for. And then you set your timers for 10 minutes. So I'll see you guys back then. Right, okay, so the 10-minute timer is up. I've safely released the pressure, and I'm just going to remove the lid to show you, and this is how it looks. And the reason why we added the tomatoes in so big is because I wanted to remove the skin. So now that the tomatoes have cooked down, just remove the lid, the skins, just like that, and discard them. We don't need them. Okay, and I'm just going to turn my hob on now, turn it to a 7, and I'm just going to show you just how cooked the meat is. So I'm just going to take a piece here before we start the next process, and you can just sort of like see this piece of meat. It's around 70% done, 75% done. The rest of the cooking will obviously take place in the next stages. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start the punning process of the meat. Now, can I just clarify here, even though you are using a pressure cooker to cook with, you still need to follow the process through. The pressure cooker just speeds up the process. You still can't skip the punning part. So I've turned my hob on to a 7, which is a medium high heat setting, and we're now going to bun this now until the entire water in there has sort of like evaporated, and the onions break down even more along with the tomatoes to create a really nice thick masala. This should take approximately sort of like 8 to 10 minutes. We don't need to add any more water into this. It's just the cooking down of all the contents in the pressure cooker. So I'll see you guys back in around 8 to 10 minutes time when this is fully bunned, and I'll show you what you need to do next. Oh, I totally forgot to say, we also need to add our spices in at this time. Right, so just add the spices in and just bun for the next 8 to 10 minutes. Right, okay, so I've been punning this for around 8 minutes, and you can see that the oil has started to separate and come around the edges here now, and the onions and the tomatoes are broken down really nicely to make a really nice masala. Now into this I'm going to add approximately half a cup of water, which is around 125 mils. So just add that in. Just turn my heat temperature on my hob up a little. So give that a mix. Just make sure you go around the edge of the pressure cooker and just take off that masala. That's one of the things that my mum taught me, that you should always take the masala off around the edges. And then I'm going to add the remaining amount in as well. So that's one whole cup, or mug should I say, which is 250 milliliters. And then I'm going to add my dal in. Now with the dal you can add as much or as little as you like. This was 200 grams like I mentioned. Give that a mix. And I'm also going to throw in my green chilies. I'm just going to turn my hob up to a full power setting here, which is a 9 for my hob, and just allow this to come up to temperature. Right, okay, so now that that's come up to temperature, I'm going to lower my heat setting down to a 3, which is a low heat setting for my hob, and I'm going to pop the lid on, secure it, lock it, and turn the pressure cook dial to a 1, which is a pressure cook mode for vegetables and lentils. And we're now going to cook this for approximately 10 minutes. So again, the same principle applies. Wait for this little button to flick up, wait till you hear and see the pressure coming out from here, and then set your timers for 10 minutes, and I'll see you guys back then. I've released the pressure and I'm just going to remove the lid to show you guys. And how wonderful does that look? You can see that the oil has started to separate and come to the surface. And just to show you how well the dal is cooked, let's just grab a grain. Just get a spoon. Okay, I'm just going to pop that on there, and it's just fully cooked, as you can see, but still holding its shape, and that's what you want. Now to finish this off, we're going to go in with our garam masala. Just add that over, just mix that in. Perfect. And then we're just going to throw over our fresh coriander, just like that. And there we have it, guys. My grandma's Gosht and Chana Dal recipe is all ready. Let me plate this up and show you guys exactly how it is.